One thing that makes congressional elections unique is the variable conditions, because there are two times that congressional elections occur: in presidential year elections and in midterm elections. So that means that if you're running for the House, you have to run when the president is being elected and then 2 years later when the president is not up for reelection. But that means that those 2 years are going to be very different for you. Because when the president's running, probably no one's really paying that much attention to your campaign, at least not in a national level. Sure, your voters will pay attention, and maybe some people in your state. Maybe if you live in a swing district that could change the composition of the House, as in if you're a Democrat running in a district that's currently held by a Republican or vice versa, it could change the party makeup, party balance in Congress. So people might pay attention to that, but overall, the president is going to get the majority of the attention during that election cycle. And it's kind of going to let you just skate by on their coattails, meaning that if you're in their party, you're going to have a better chance of winning because people will just vote for them and then vote down the ballot for the same party. But if you're running in a midterm election and the president isn't up, you've got kind of the reverse problem in that people might want to punish the president's party and make that midterm election a referendum on the president's performance up till then. So if you're in the president's party, you might actually have to struggle against that now. So that means that these two election cycles are going to be very different in terms of how much attention your candidacy might get and in terms of how you're going to have to deal with who the president is and what your party is. And of course, there's variable conditions insofar as there's two different offices, right? Congressional elections mean elections for the House and for the Senate. And we know that those campaigns are going to differ a lot. The House, everyone's up for re-election every 2 years, but in the Senate, each individual senator is up every 6 years, but a third is up every 2 years, right? So if you run and win, say you ran and won in the most recent midterm elections, be 2022, you won't be up again for 6 years. So till 2028, which will be a presidential election year. So you still have that variable condition of, is a president up or for election, or is it a midterm? But you've got 6 years in between, as opposed to just 2. So that's a little bit different. And if you are elected in a presidential year for the Senate, so let's say you were elected back when Biden won in 2020, maybe that's a bit of a swing state, a state that could go Democrat, it could go Republican. And it went Democrat on Biden's coattails. Biden's a Democrat, people wanted to vote for him and then for other Democrats. But now maybe 6 years later in 2026, without a president up for re-election, maybe you're in a vulnerable position because that's a swing state and now you don't have a Democrat to ride their coattails. So maybe this is a very different dynamic for you, right? So even with 6 years in between, we can see that there's variable conditions depending on what's happening at the time and how the president and sort of who's up in your chamber can really affect you as a candidate. And of course, again, the House and the Senate means in the Senate, you're representing a whole state, in the House, you're only representing a district. We have different conditions there as well.